Okay, so you need to pay attention and quiet down. If you have a question, I'll ask you if anybody has one. I don't know, I see people putting their arms up like this when they ask a question, okay? Well, you'll do more like this, okay? What are we going to talk about?
Supplies used for cooking?
No. Is there anybody in this group that's 11 years old? Oh my gosh. Anybody 12? Nobody's 12 yet?
I'm almost.
You're almost 12? Good, come up here. Stand right here. You're almost 12. Well, back when there's different tradesmen, different people that made different objects for people to trade or actually to sell to people, you get to about 11 or 12 years old. If do you know how to write? Do you know how to spell? In order to write, you got to be able to spell. Otherwise, it wouldn't look like English. It would look like I don't know what.
Chinese?
No. So, can you do math? You can count 10? Can you touch your nose with your finger? Let me see you do it. Okay. Right, your dad would walk you down the street to the blacksmith shop. And he'd tell the blacksmith, I want my son to learn to be a blacksmith. And the blacksmith would look at him, say, well, let me see your muscle.
What?
Let me see your muscle on your arm. Put your arm up. This one, I can't reach that. Okay, sit down. You stand up. Your dad's gonna bring you down to the blacksmith. You guys, get up there.
Uh-oh. I'm weak.
How old are you? 11? Okay, big muscle. Stand up straight. Oh, that's not too bad. Stay up there. Your dad's gonna ask the blacksmith, can you teach my son to be a blacksmith? You say, well, if he can read, write, and do arithmetic, I probably can. But so they'd work out a contract, and you'd have a place to sleep and food to eat, and you'd work for 4, 5, 6 years being a blacksmith. Now, you're only in what, 5th grade?
Yeah.
Getting ready maybe to go into 6th grade?
Yeah.
So, you probably wouldn't be going to high school back in the early days, back in the 1800s, 1820.
That was 1850s.
Did they have high schools back then? Not very
No,
often.
this is at Scranton.
They had colleges back then, yeah, a
Yes.
few. But you basically learned the basic 3 R's, how to read, write, and do arithmetic. And then instead of going on to high school, you'd go somewhere to learn a trade. Now, blacksmith is a trade, right?
Yeah.
They repair and make things. Pretty lucrative trade to be in because people are always breaking things, doing things. So he would write out a contract for you. He'd provide a place for you to sleep and food to eat. And after 5 or 6 years, you probably know everything you need to know about being a blacksmith. Well, on the final line before where your dad would sign, there'd be something that would say, you agree that after you learn to be a blacksmith, you're not going to stay in that town. You're going to have to move to another town. You're going to have to go west. Build a blacksmith shop in another town that doesn't have one. Well, why would a blacksmith have you sign that, saying that you would not become a blacksmith in the same town you're living in? Why would you do that?
Because then the person that learned it could take more people could go to him and he could lose his job.
Very good. You don't know the secret handshake. Now, you'd sign it and you'd be working. And you'd be making nails probably first. Cutting off hot metal, hammering a point onto it, sticking it in an anvil, hammering metal down on top and make a head on the nail. And then you pull out, what would you have? A square cut nail, okay? Or just a hand forged nail. Now, you may have to make 200, 300 nails in a couple of days. Because that was the order they had. He was going to have an order for 300 nails. Do you think he's going to spend all day making nails? No. You're going to spend all day making nails. Be one of the first jobs you're going to do, learn how to make nails. Then you'd learn to go do other things. You'd have to learn to stoke up the forge, put coal in it, burn it real hot until it become coke, and then you'd have to learn how to keep it going. Now somebody'd have to make the bellows go up and down, up and down. What do bellows do? What's going to make a fire get hotter? Air. What kind of air? Oxygen. How you get all that oxygen into that forge? Bellows. But it's not going to be a little hand bellows. It's going to be one of the big heavy lever, and you're going to have to pull it down, push it back up, pull it down. It's going to have a great big bellows. It's going to force a lot of air in there all at once. That's going to make the forge really what?
Hot.
Really hot. That's going to be, we can sit down now. You can take a break for a while before you make more nails. If I had a spider skillet, why is the skillet called spider?
It has 3 legs.
Because it has the legs that are real long like a spider, okay? Nowadays, if this leg broke off, what would you probably do with this?
Take it back. Throw it away.
Throw it away. Back in the early 1800s, 1820, if a leg broke off, what would you do?
Blacksmith would repair it.
Take it to the blacksmith and he would repair it. So he wouldn't throw anything away. If something broke, take it to a tradesman, have it fixed. Now, this is black. In order to make something like this, you'd have to take metal, heat it up, and you'd have to hammer it with a hammer. Now you see all those hits in this? All the dents in it from hitting with a hammer, trying to shape it? Okay, in the old country, back over on the other side of the ocean, hammering metal was called smithing. Smithing. This metal, whenever you heat it up, it turns what?
Black.
So, take that word for hitting metal, and the color of the forged
You get the name blacksmith.
blacksmith. How'd you know that? Oh yeah, your dad brought you over and I talked to you. And you're going to become apprenticed. Apprentice is somebody who works for somebody else.
Yep.
And you get food and a place to sleep.
And they're getting teaching by that
Yes.
person too.
They're getting like a college education.
Yes.
So it wasn't college, it was something that people had to do in order to get some kind of a job to earn money. Okay? So that was blacksmithing. Spiders, pans, S-hook for in the fireplace, different items that you can use. And this actual little lamp here, it's forged metal and put together is what? A bedding lamp. Okay, so all those are things that could be repaired by the blacksmith. I was getting scared. I didn't know if you were going to give me an answer or not. Now, hammering metal, heating it up, hammering it turned black like this. Now, if you got really good at blacksmithing, hammering metal and shaping it, there's a good chance you build guns.
Guns.
Gunsmith. Well, you're getting the idea, aren't you? Gunsmith. You're having to hammer out the different parts of the gun. Mainly the lock, which is this part right here. You'd have to learn to shape the trigger guard. That's all handmade there on a forge. Patch box would have to be hammered out, shaped, and put together. All the different parts of the gun would have to be shaped and hammered. And this is called,
Musket. 1800s, I'm guessing.
it's a flintlock.
Flintlock musket.
No.
It's not enough.
It's actually, it's not a musket because inside the barrel has grooves in it. So it's called a rifle.
Yes.
Because the grooves in the barrel are called rifles.
Musket has like point.
Musket is what? Smooth.
Yes.
There's
and
nothing
it's a
inside the
gun
barrel.
slash sword.
Okay, so I could make a lot more money. I could sell a gun like this, a flintlock, for $25 back in 1820.
That's a lot.
That was a lot of money back then.
Guns
A lot of people were getting things by trading eggs and different kinds of things that they either had chickens laying or growing in their garden, milking a cow, making butter. That's how they could trade, okay? Trading was one of the things that you did a lot of back then, because most people didn't have what? Money, okay? So if you were a blacksmith, you could become a gunsmith. Now, if you worked with 10, if you worked with 10 smith, okay? If you made things out of 10,
Oh, yeah.
you were a tinsmith. If you had to hammer and shape them and solder it together to make a cup, you were called a tinsmith. If you made something out of copper,
Coppersmith.
got you getting good all of a sudden.
It's the material.
Coppersmith. Still had to shape it, bend it, put all the pieces together, and you mass produce things out of copper. Now, what was one of the easy ways to mass produce things?
Molds.
No, not a mold, but a pattern.
Yeah.
You'd have a pattern that you could lay on the copper sheets, trace around it, cut it, and then bend it, hammer it, shape it so you can solder it together. So if you're a coppersmith apprentice, what would probably be one of the things you'd have to do?
Cut the copper.
Maybe trace it and cut the copper. Actual shaping and soldering would probably be done by the coppersmith. Now, if you were making things out of silversmith, okay. Anybody think of a famous silversmith?
Oh, Hollow here.
Okay.
Steelsmith.
No,
Silversmith.
That's so
no. There's another material that they could
Ironsmith?
use. No. Starts with P.
Steels. Pyrite.
Pyrite.
That's cool.
Okay. Starts with P.
It can't be paper.
Pewter.
Oh.
You make things out of pewter. Pyrite. If you made things out of,
Glassmith. No.
this is glass. What would this be?
It's not a glass.
A golden smith.
No. Smith means what?
Hammer.
You're gonna hammer glass? I don't think so. In order to make things out of glass, you'd have to heat it up in a furnace. I'm moving down to this end.
Smith is hammering glass.
What is that? What would it be?
I'm trying to remember.
A glass blower. A glass blower. Now, one of the ways you could tell if you have an early glass blown item, like a bowl different items made out of glass, is you could turn it over, look at the bottom, it has a ponto mark. That's where it was attached to the rod in order to shape the top. Okay? When you start out, you would blow and then cut it. Before you cut it, you'd stick another rod on the bottom, and that would hold this. Now when you're done shaping the top of the bowl, you would take, well, that's dirty inside. I need to have my wife do the dishes. That's bad. Okay, there's a little scar right there. It's called a ponto mark. Now, if you look on your stomach right here, what do you have right there? Yeah, well, this had a rod attached. When they snapped that off, this automatically was made into a bowl.
Oh, it symbolizes.
So it's almost like this was born.
Yes, it symbolizes a human.
Okay, somebody who works with horns.
A hornsmith.
Hornsmith? Am I going to take a hammer and beat that cow horn? What's going to happen to it? It's going to splinter, break apart. So it's not called smith anymore. You had blacksmith, gunsmith, tinsmith, coppersmith,
Hornblower. Silversmith.
silversmith.
Hornblower.
No. Person who works with horns is sometimes called a horner.
A horner.
No? Okay. Horn comes off of a cow. If it's a deer, it's not called a horn. Antlers. Okay. So some of the things you can make out of a horn, this little comb right here, what's that look like it's made out of?
Oh, what?
Oh, I guess you guys messed up. What's that look like it's made? What's the spoon look like it's made out of?
Horn.
Plastic. Very good. They look like they're plastic. They didn't have plastic back then. So back in the 1820s, earlier,
Horn was their plastic.
horn was their plastic.
Yes.
Because it's basically waterproof. Okay? So a lot of times if somebody sees this, they'll say, oh, that's a plastic spoon like I can get at Wendy's or somewhere. This is a comb I can comb my hair with. If you're a girl, you might need a bigger comb. Okay? Like this to comb your hair. What's this made out of? Horn. Now how do you go from a round horn like this to a flat comb
They put
like
it in the
that?
ground and it's decayed. That's a gun.
When you heat horn up in an oven, it gets real pliable and soft. If you take it out, stick it between two boards, and let it cool off, what's going to happen?
Molds into
It stays flat. The apprentice would have the job of taking a saw and cutting spaces all the way across the comb. So if you're an apprentice, and you had to make a dozen combs for somebody in the general store, you'd be the one probably shaping all the teeth in the comb so that that piece of horn would become a comb. I understand.
Yeah.
Now, there's something different about this. This isn't flat, is it?
No.
But they'd have a carved out piece of wood that they could stick a heated up piece of horn in, have a negative, put it on top of that, and let it cool, and would shape it so it looked like this. Now, it still might have sharp edges on it, so if you're an apprentice, what would your job be? Make it smooth. You file or smooth it down so it wouldn't hurt your mouth or your lips when you're eating with it. You can make containers like this. Put things in. You could even use the tip of the horn, the pointed part. You wouldn't throw anything away. You'd make a cup like this out of the center part of the horn. You'd make this out of another part of the horn. You'd use this, the tip of the horn, to make this. What do you think this is? Wait a minute. Well, I heard some dogs barking. that, they use that to make the whistle. Okay, and that's
That's
a
another.
loud whistle.
Yeah.
Okay? So, what other things do you see? Clay, pottery, clay bowl, clay jugs, and that would be used to hold vinegar or apple cider or something down in the cellar. And if you're a small child, they might have you go down and get a jug of cider downstairs. Now, this right here weighs 8 pounds. It holds almost 3 gallons. Pounds. How many pounds? A gallon of milk weighs 8 pounds. This almost holds 3. So 3 times 8 is
24. 24.
Katie.
You're supposed to do the math.
okay. This weighed how much? 8. So 8 plus 24 is
32.
32. Now, if you're a 4-year-old child, I say go down and get that big jug of vinegar.
Oh my God.
Are they going to be able to go down there and pick it up and carry it all up the steps?
No.
Probably not. So somebody thought of the idea. You two stand up for a minute. Stand here, you stand there. Grab a handle. Okay, you got to turn around because we're going to walk the same direction. Okay, so if they carry that, that weighs, how much was it?
8 pounds.
32 pounds. Come back, don't leave.
We're not leaving. She didn't want to.
32 pounds. So if that's 32 pounds full, how many pounds are you carrying?
16 and 16.
Who said that? Okay, you're probably lifting 16, you're lifting 16. So that makes it easier to carry, right? Guess what? This potter, which is what that was called, he worked with clay and made different things. It wasn't Harry, his name was Fred. But he would make pots, jugs like this with 2 handles, because they were convenient. Okay? If one broke off, you still had a handle on the other side, you could still lift it up. So that was really good. People really liked that. And he was selling a whole lot of jugs. Now, if you were an apprentice, you're going down the creek and digging up clay, bring it up, let it dry, put it on a screen and shifting it around to get the rocks and pebbles out of it. Then you throw it in a clay pit and you put water in it. And you walk barefooted and mix the clay real good. That's what that potter would use. He wasn't going to get his feet dirty. He was going to make the items that he's going to sell. Now, if that was a really, really good idea, that potter would probably make smaller jugs the same way. Now, is this going to weigh 32 pounds when it's full? No, it's only a gallon. So 8 plus 4 is what?
12.
12. So this isn't going to be that heavy to carry. But he was still putting 2 handles on there. Because that tradesman, or that potter, was using the 2-handle idea as his what? Think about it. This is like a Jeopardy question.
Specialty.
No. What is a trademark?
Oh, it's a...
Trademark